I'd like to call this regular board meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District Board of Education to order at 7:01. I'd like to call Principal Wingo and Bethany Elementary forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and if everyone would stand and join.
Climb up here. We're breaking all the rules and standing on a chair for obvious reasons. Okay, they already stood up, so what are you going to say?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. Okay, so you stay right there. No, you stay there.
Thank you.
Now we're going to look, these are the people that we're talking to, okay? You ready? Okay. Okay, thank you for inviting us here tonight. I have with me, who led you in the pledge, Liam Cloak, who is a first grader, and he said he was not nervous. He was excited to be here, so that's important. We just wrapped up an attendance contest in September, and it was sponsored by, University of the Pacific. So they have a foundation, Every Day Counts, the Beyond Our Gates Community Council, and they ran this program, which was Every Day Counts, School Success Starts with Attendance, and they had sponsors from Wells Fargo and the James Irvine Foundation. And we learned about this from Student Services Department. Here's Buster. Come on over, Buster, and Faith. There he is. And they offered a Kindle Fire to any school in San Joaquin County who ran this promotion. And if you had perfect attendance for the month of September, you were entered in a drawing and could win the Kindle Fire. So if you had perfect attendance and you weren't the lucky winner, you got tickets to a Stockton Heat hockey game and a UOP bookmark, which was pretty cool. Perfect attendance, we set the bar pretty high. You could have no absences, of course, but you also couldn't be tardy. You couldn't have been picked up early for any reason, and you couldn't leave and come back for an appointment. You had to be there all day, every day to learn. And the lucky winner of the Kindle Fire is my friend here, Liam. So there you go. What's in there?
It's a Kindle Fire.
It's his very own Kindle Fire. Pretty cool. And when I asked Liam why it was important that you come to school every day, can you talk into the microphone and tell them why we come every day to school?
To learn.
Exactly. That's the most important reason. So I want to thank, we learned about this program from the new Student Services team, Julie Corona's office, and they brought it to our attention, and so we were very excited to participate and got a lot of positive feedback from our parent community and students. So we're going to continue it every month. So the prize for October, we're giving out two $50 Amazon gift cards. So we will continue to do this throughout the year. Liam might win again, you never know. So we were pretty excited about that. So that's our slideshow. So I want to thank Liam for being here tonight. Buster, who is a very close friend of 8th grader Colin Sahim, and Faith, who is his handler. When she goes to college, if she goes to school near an amusement park, she has a future in mascot handling and can make a little extra money in college. Thank you for having us here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did it. Want to go now? Okay. All right.
I forgot to remind the audience that the meetings are recorded, so if you could please silence or turn off your cell phones at this time, we would appreciate it. Roll call, please.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Ann Goodrich.
Absent.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Ruxar Muhammad.
Absent.
Sorry.
And I'm guessing you are doing the recording of our existence here. Thank you. Approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, presentation, student recognition, 2017-2018 CASP perfect scores.
Mr. President, board members, it's a very exciting night for us. This is the first in 2 series of honoring multitudes of students who scored perfectly on the CASP. We'd like to have our Assistant Superintendent, Heather Sherburne, come up and be our host, I guess that's the right word, hostess. And if we could have the board come down, we'll be congratulating the students down there.
Good evening, family members. We're so excited that you're able to be here and help us recognize. We have students with perfect scores from Altamont, Bethany, Hanson, Lammersville, and Wickland tonight. And we're going to start with the ELA only, correct? So these students had a perfect score for English Language Arts. When I call your name, you'll come up and you'll start on this end, if you wouldn't mind, and come down, shake some hands, and we'll end up over here with your certificate and your medal. And then we'll have you try and stand off to this side so that we can have a group photo at the end, okay? All right, so first we'd like to recognize, should we do our one clap? Here we go. So we're going to do the one clap like this. Let's practice. 1, 2, 3. All right, for each student's name. So we'll start that off with Arwen Angeles, Miguel Bautista, Jaya Dua, Yusuf Al-Fikai, Mason Garner, Evelyn Holtz, Marilyn James, Renita Justin, Adithi Kalapara, Carl Lopez, Prirana Manikar. I love that you kept all your rhythm, even with the long pause. Good job. Manil Mehta. Drew Mullen. Eliana Navarro. Zachary Nazareno. Sean Nguyen. Amy Nguyen. Can we squish down maybe and make another row over here? Here we go, because we'll have you come back up. Yes. Daya Palat. Mahar Palia, Sanvi Rajiv, Reem Safin, Redima Salam. Akriti Singh. Pranav Sundar. Jasmine Tadros. Zoe Nicole Tabuli. And Gestal Valdez. All right, how about we start with just the ELA students, all of you coming together in the middle, and let's try and take a picture. Come on over. See if you can come on up to the... We're not going to see you. Here we go. Over here. All right, nice squish in. Squish in together. Everybody's good friends.
All right. Look this way, everyone.
All right, we got it? All right, thank you. This next round of students have a perfect score on their CASP math test. So we're very proud of them. We're saying this is quite an amazing problem to have, that we can't squish all of the perfect score students into one picture. So this is awesome. So I'd like to bring up Garwal Amadazi, Sebastian Arana, Amir Edric Balayot, start down over here. There you go. Danielle Catherine Sanito. Daryl Christian Sanito. Pranav Ganti. Aswin Han. Isaac Hashimi. Prinwi Huang. Nishant Kairamkanda. Nanki Kar. Stacy Lee. Travis Leos. Michael Louis. Ishan Machiraju. Andrew Mai. Divya Mata. Mehdi Noori. Roheen Prashanta. Aisha Sabu, Michael Samir, Siddharth Sangapali, Ana Silva, Jennifer Thomas, Samuel Witham, Oscar Walensky, Thomas Yee, Pavan Yadanaputi. Come on over. Come on over. Good job. Hers must be in the pile there. All right. You want to come on back over, everybody? We're going to squish up in the middle. Huddle up. You can come this way, hon. You can come this way up in front, around the other way, too. I think you're going to end up right in the back. You're so nice and tall already.
Okay, let me get the manager.
All right, we got it. All right, thank you. Okay, so these are both, so they each have 2 certificates. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have a fair number of students here tonight who have received a perfect score on both their English language arts test for state testing and their mathematics test in state testing. So congratulations to the following students, and we'll again have you come up and over to the side. They're receiving a certificate for both and a medal for both. So Ryan Alex, Joshua Charuku, Ignatius Hahn, Mahima Johnson, Chaitana Jorapur, Shanze Shahid, Pari Sharma, Elizabeth Sue, Leah Albert Tancinco. Saiharshita Yarella. All right, so we'll have you all come on over into the center again.
Hurry. But by yourself. Back up, guys. You guys gotta back up.
Okay, thank you. We just have two students who missed the picture. We're gonna get their picture real quick. All righty, thank you. Good job.
Go. Two people behind you. Next slip here. Next two. Quick here, Meg. Oh, you should go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, come on. Yeah. Oh. Okay, there. They have together. Okay, go ahead. Go.
Okay, go. One only. Okay, go. Thank you.
Can you just stand here? Okay. I was having trouble following it on the computer.
Here, it's a spray. Just spray, it's, yeah. Sanitizer, it's a spray. Yeah.
This is perfect.
Oh, no.
Sanitizer for your hands, I guess? I'll take it. Yep. That's a great idea.
Okay, Colin, if you pass that back down, I have the lid. Thank you. Thank you, teacher's pension.
Just.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Somebody left their keys.
They won't get fired.
Cleared the room. Doesn't make
Sure did.
And now we know what it feels like to be hounded by paparazzi.
looking for the keys.
All right, moving on. Committee reports, District Advisory Committee.
We've not had a meeting since the last board meeting, Mr. President.
Thank you. District English Language Advisory Committee.
We have not had a meeting since our last board meeting.
Thank you. Education Extracurricular Committee.
We have not had a meeting since our last board meeting.
Facilities Committee meeting. We have not had a meeting since our last board meeting, and our next meeting is scheduled for December 20th at 6:30. Policy Committee meeting. Policy Committee.
The committee's been given another set of policies we're reviewing. They'll be coming to the board for adoption, first read in November.
Thank you. Safety Committee.
The committee's looking at a couple different options as far as active shooter training. The committee's going to be looking at a couple different options, and we'll be making a recommendation to the board to look further at. Our next meeting is going to be November 14th.
I'd like to make a suggestion at a program that we've been looking at in the district where I work. It's called I Love You Guys. It has to do a lot with lockdowns, lockouts, stuff like that. So I would suggest that the district just take a look at it and see if it's something that we'd be interested in.
I love you guys.
I Love You Guys, yeah.
That's great. That's exactly the kind of training we're looking at. And
It simplifies the, when administrators get on the PA system, some schools will have like blue is this, red is that, yellow is that, and that gets too confusing. It's one word and then about 3 or 4 words just to clarify it, and everybody knows what to do right away because there are posters in every room. And we just looked at it today and we're going to adopt it.
Very well. Wellness Committee. The Wellness Committee met on October 10th, and we discussed committee priorities, a wellness plan update, physical fitness test results, an ADE update, character counts training, farmers market, student services, particularly mental health counselor, bullying prevention, anonymous tips on our site, an anonymous tip site, and our next meeting is scheduled for December 12th at 3:30. Governing board reports. Trustee Clements.
I attended the JV and varsity football games, at Pacheco High School in Los Banos last Friday. The teams played hard, but unfortunately, neither one emerged victorious. This was the varsity football team's first loss of the season. We're very proud of them. I think they've come a long ways in the 5 years that they've been playing. I also attended the Cuesta Elementary School Carnival last Saturday. It was a great event, and it looked like the scholars were all enjoying themselves a lot. It was a lot of fun to attend. I also wanted to comment that Ginny and I and a few friends finally managed to take advantage of the progressive dinner that Cuesta Foundation had auctioned off, and they did a fantastic job. It was one of the best meals I've ever had, so I really hope they do it again. I'll definitely bid on it, hint, hint, if they do that. And finally, I know it's completely inappropriate, but if my fellow board members would grant me a boon. Ginny Clements, the librarian at Quest Elementary. Next Tuesday is our 25th wedding anniversary. Ginny, thank you for 25 wonderful years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
End of my report.
Thank you. Trustee Balzerini.
Last night I attended the DARE graduation at Bethany, and what an energetic group. That fourth grade has their hands full. Well attended, as usual, great event. My thanks to Officer Abercrombie and that program, and I sure hope that we can see some our high school students involved up there with him in the future. I'm excited to report that I'm actually off and get to attend homecoming on Friday, so I'm looking forward to that.
Very nice.
And lastly, today marks the 29th anniversary since the Loma Prieta earthquake. My background in public safety, it means a lot to me. I was in high school at the time. I remember it well. And tomorrow I know is a great shakeout. Our schools are going to be doing the earthquake drill, but for our staff and district administration, really give it some thought. What if? I know that this area is not really affected by earthquakes like the Bay Area. However, 80+% of our parents commute, and if they're stuck in the Bay Area and we have our students here, what are we going to do? So just food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Lampel.
So I also attended the Bethany DARE graduation last night. Spirited, spunky, loud group. But it was an awesome event, and what Trustee Balzerini was talking about was Officer Abercrombie brought some of the high school students that he continues to work with from 2 different schools in Tracy, and they had actually done some work bringing much-needed supplies to Africa, to a couple of places in Africa, and the stories that the experiences that the students had was quite moving. It really was. And I too hope that some of our students stay involved in DARE and can do that kind of global service, not just local community service. I also visited the Global Food Fair, saw a lot of our families there. It was a great event. I did my monthly report to the CSD, and I reported to them on our construction, our state funding, our fabulous football team, told them about the event that we were having here tonight, recognizing how many students got perfect scores on their CASP. Told them about homecoming, which I almost forgot, and a couple of other events around the district, and they always appreciate hearing what's going on in our schools. And that's about it.
Thank you. My wife, daughter, and I donated blood at the Mountain House High School HOSA Red Cross Blood Drive. I attended the Cuesta Fall Festival, and it was well attended. Families seemed to be having a good time. I also attended the previously mentioned Wellness Committee meeting. I enjoyed site visits over the past couple of weeks at Mountain House High School, Hanson Elementary, and Bethany Elementary. Thank you to Principals Faubert, Pacheco, and Wingo. I saw lots of engaged students and teachers teaching. It was very nice to see, although I've come to expect that when I do site visits every year. Superintendent Nicholas, trustees Balzerini, Lampel, and I participated in the DARE graduation, as was mentioned here. As always, I enjoyed seeing how excited the students are to learn these valuable lessons. Just a side note, I somewhere along the line got the misinformation that some of our DARE graduations start at 6 o'clock. I got verified last night that they all start at 6:30, so if you guys want to check your calendars and make sure you didn't make the same mistake I did. And I'm looking forward to the homecoming parade and football games on Friday night. And lastly, Lammersville Elementary is having their annual Harvest Carnival on the 18th of October from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And on behalf of the Lammersville School Foundation, I would like to invite the rest of the board, district staff, and everybody else out there to attend. It's always a fun time.
The date? The 18th is tomorrow.
Oh, that was a mental typo. It's the 28th. The 28th, which is a Sunday, and it is from 11 to 4. Receiving of public comments. The board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each agenda item. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public may also bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda at a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee to take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on an agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. And I see no blue cards, and I don't see anyone waving frantically that they would like to come up and address.
I want to say something. Can I?
Okay.
I've never been to one. Hi, my name's Christine, and I'm new to the area. We just moved here, and we adore Mountain House. It's awesome. My son goes to Mountain House High School. He's thriving. I own a very large basketball program. I am not a coach. I am not anywhere near a coach. I'm just a mom that decided that there was a lot of corruption in AAU basketball. And so I worked really hard to put something together that was beneficial for our boys. I know people come here and ask you for things. I'm actually coming here to ask what we can do for the schools. 75% of the students in your elementaries and your high school already play for us. And I'd really like to be able to give money to the school, give support to the school, but because there's that stigma of AAU on my company name, there's some resistance for us to be able to help and support at the school. So I'd like if we can find a way to where we can actually help and contribute. I know that I've checked with CIF. I've done this. I have 21 teams in San Jose area, so we do work with a lot of the high schools. Here it's new. There's such a stigma on AAU being corrupt or, trying to take students or, get them in the programs. But my kids are already in your schools, so I'm trying to support them. I work very closely with the NCAA, and I'm really on board and involved in them taking the power away from the AAU organizations and giving it back to the high school coaches so that the focus is back on high school basketball in the schools. And those high school coaches are the ones advocating for the students, not these programs and these shoe companies. I'm sponsored and partnered with the Junior NBA. And again, I'm not a coach. I'm just doing this because my son loves basketball. But your coaches corrupted him and turned him into a football player, and he wants to quit now. Thank you very much. But he's 280, 6'2", and he loves it. I just want to know, as an example, in our last booster meeting, I wanted to do Player of the Week for all the students, all the sports. But we can't because we're an AAU club. That's a $1,000 donation of t-shirts to reward all kids in every sport. But they won't take my money because I'm an AAU. I would really like somebody to kind of investigate this with the AD and see how I can help. It doesn't have to be my name on it. I just want to know how we can support our kids and be able to contribute to the school because basketball season is coming up. We'd love to get our junior NBA programs into like Bethany. There's, these are cut sports. So a lot of our kids won't make the teams. Where can we come in and maybe give support and classes to train them free of charge? Just how can we give back is basically, and what are the rules there?
Thank you. Dr. Nicholas?
Mr. Harrison, who is also gave up his basketball career for football, is going to talk to you right now.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, anytime we need volunteers, we have a bunch.
Okay.
Thank you. Item 9, consent items for consideration. Governing Board meeting minutes from the regular meeting of October 3rd. Ratification of contracts under $25,000. Ratification of 2018-2019 hires. Ratification of resignations. And updated 2018-2019 fundraisers. Staff report?
Yeah, real quick. Somehow a column dropped off the report, so we've already posted the corrected one on the website, but we wanted to give a paper copy here at the board meeting.
All right, thank you. Would anyone like to pull anything for further discussion or make a motion?
I'll move to approve consent items as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. President, I just had one clarification for the record, if I may.
Sure.
The contract with Wallace Cool is when I read it, it looked to me like it was the first contract with Wallace Cool for environmental, and it's really an ongoing thing. It's the next phase of a contract, so it's not like we broke ground without a environmental consultant on board, and I just wanted to clarify that for the record.
Correct.
All right, thank you. So we've had first, second, and ayes, so motion carries.
Yes, I just wanted to add that for the record.
All right,
If I could do my employees.
yes.
We would like to welcome the following folks who have joined our Lammersville family. Russell Asiento, IT Support Technician. Shannon Beltrami, IT Support Technician. Deepthi Chirayath, Instructional Aide. Juan Martinez, Lead Custodian K through 8. Nancy O'Neill Keynes, Noon Duty Supervisor. Sarah Rashad, Noon Duty Supervisor. Ruth Roush, Noon Duty Supervisor. Tricia Sheehan, Noon Duty Supervisor. And Laura Zada, Noon Duty Supervisor. Welcome.
Welcome. Moving on to item 10, District Administrative Report, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Nicholas.
Yes, I just have a brief comment, and then we have two short presentations. Today, I just wanted to inform the board here at an open session that we began discussions about the process to do a design for our 8th K-8 school in south of Grant Line Road in neighborhoods A-B, which will be called Evelyn Costa Elementary. So I just wanted to let you know that in the coming meetings, there will be some things coming forward to discuss that process and the design of that next school, just so you knew. And now, with no further ado, we'd like to invite Irene Buzatil, the eminent principal of Lammersville Elementary School, who will be presenting tonight about her other hat she wears, which is the support of our English learner students.
Good evening, President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you for having me here with you this evening to go ahead and give a little bit of an update on our English learners in the district. So, maybe.
It's making a noise.
Maybe there needs to be a motion with the new system. Move to the next slide. Or...
Yeah. It's trying.
There it is. See?
Yay!
You figured it out.
I just wanted to
Keep
see how red I
dancing.
could get from blushing. So just really quickly, as I was preparing for this presentation, I know we have talked in the past about how diverse a community we live in, and our students have the opportunity, and our staff have the opportunity to kind of come together. And so I had Shannon run a query for me, and we have over 41 languages spoken by households throughout our district. So that is a crazy number. So that's just something, it's a celebration. It's one of the things that we look at. It can be a challenge to make sure that we're communicating in a way that is meeting the needs and sensitive to all of our different cultures that are represented, but also what an opportunity for all of us to have such a community that our students participate in from day to day. So we have our reclassification criteria, and so as you know, that this was the first administration year for the LPAC. And so at the beginning of last year, they had the SELT assessment for our initials and the LPAC administration for the summative assessment. And so this was the first go-round. The unofficial advice that we received in regards to reclassification is that students that scored 3s in the overall, and then the 2 main subtests of the oral language and the written language, those would be candidates for reclassification. We were a little bit more conservative, and we were going for a 4, and then in some cases a 3 for those students. And then we're also meeting now together as a team to make sure that did we get the right group of students, and is it representing what we would like? We also look at MAP scores for reclassification, the students' grades overall, but in particular their English language arts grade, a teacher recommendation, and then if all of those boxes are checked, then we give our recommendation to the parent, and the final step is the parent agreement for their student to be reclassified. So here is the data for our district. So overall, we had 244 students reclassified. So we had a lot to celebrate. And so you see kind of going through the grade levels I thought it was interesting that 5th, 6th, and 7th grade students, that was a little bit of a trend that they had all the same number of students reclassified. We also had a number of celebrations district-wide. You know, so for example, at my site, we had a number of our LTELs, those are our long-term identified English learners, reclassified as well. So that has something that we've been working on, and so it's nice to see the fruit of all that work come out in an assessment that by all information that we were given was much more rigorous than the previous assessment, and so our students still did very, very well, so we are very pleased with all of that. And so to have our reclassification celebration, that's where we entice families to come out to our DLAC meetings. So we had, of the 244 students that were reclassified, we had about 70 families RSVP with a total of like 100 RSVP yeses. And so we did have an evening, they came in, we recognized each one of the students with all of the assistant principals from each site. And then we had, you know, pizza and, you know, a celebration and cake and all of those things. But while we're in those meetings, we also make sure that we're infusing what is the core of the DLAC is parent information and education. So we talk specifically about our local control accountability plan again, and our district data about how our students are doing on the statewide assessment. So it was a fun evening. It goes by very, very quickly, and as always, the families come out to support our students. Anyone have any questions for me?
And it was a lovely evening, and the parents really appreciated us recognizing their students.
Absolutely, absolutely. If anyone would like a tutorial on how to use a clicker later.
Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for all your hard work.
Yes, thank you very much.
And now we'd like to invite Assistant Superintendent Heather Sherburne, who's going to give us the big picture results of our CASP work across the district. This will be the first in a series of presentations where we go from the big picture down to the little picture, even into the weeds a little bit. But tonight she's going to keep it at the 30,000-foot view.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. It is my pleasure to be here and celebrate with everyone the hard work that, thanks to all of our students, our teachers, our school site administrators, and your support, our students have done very well yet again on our state testing for this year. So you can see on this slide that overall, we had a 2% gain as a district in the English language arts and a 3% gain in math. And as the scores get higher and higher, it becomes ever increasingly harder to continue to raise test scores. So continuing to go up at this pace is still quite exceptional. We again outpace all of the schools in the area and the Central Valley really, as well as Livermore just over the hill. So we're very proud of what is going on. We are the highest performing school district by 7% in the English language arts and 9% in math. So we have quite a lead on all of our comparisons. On this slide, the high school, as you know, we're a single high school district. So being able to compare and say, how are we doing in the high school and what does that look like? I wanted to give you a little snapshot of that. So again, our high school is doing very well, outshining Livermore and our local high school around the area in both language arts and math. Livermore were tied in math. And we are now setting our sights both at the K-8 level and at the high school level on the more affluent areas, San Ramon, Pleasanton, those Bay Area schools that are really performing very well. And we are determined that we will be right there neck and neck with them coming very soon. This slide, we wanted to look at what does our progress look like over time. So it's broken down by grade level for language arts and for math there, and you can see the last 4 years. Not only are the grade levels going up every year consistently. So if you look at third grade language arts, they had a 51 to a 59 to a 62 to a 63 over the last 4 years. But they're also going up pretty consistently as a imperfect cohort. So the third graders who had a 51, when they became fourth graders in 2016, they're at a 53. When they became fifth graders in 2017, they're at a 64. So as a cohort, they're improving, and as a grade level to grade level, they are improving. And that is roughly true, probably 90% of the time when you're looking at all of these scores across the grade level. So it's something to be quite proud of in our district. All right. So each site principal has led their staff through professional development at the beginning of the year where they had a chance, they were provided with slides and they were able to analyze the data and look at their own progress at their school site by grade level and start making their plans for the year. What you can see here on the slide is that the performance of each grade level by comparison with the other sites overall. Altamont and Lammersville had a slight decrease in language arts. Mountain House High School remained flat, but they are very high achieving already at 78%, 79%, excuse me, that's a big difference, 1%. 79%, so they're still doing very well. And the other school sites that we have here had a 3 to 5% gain contributing to that overall district gain. So it's quite impressive that when we're already high performing to get those 3 and 5% gains in language arts. The next slide is the same look at the picture, but for math. Altamont, Cuesta, and Wickland and the high school all had gains in math between 6 and 8%. So we're quite proud of the work that's been going on. Bethany is still the highest performing school in the district and had a 1% gain with an overall proficiency of 71%. So woohoo to Bethany. Is Debbie still here? Yes. Good job. And then Lammersville had a slight drop, but nothing that we can't work on and overcome. So as part of looking at the data, each of the school sites looked at these significant subpopulations. We're looking at these significant subpopulations at the district. We want to review that and make sure that we're looking at where are the strengths and where are the areas that we need to continue to focus in on and start creating additional plans for how to improve. You can see here that there's roughly a 20 to 40% gap between some subpopulations and the overall performance of the district for either language arts or math. So the plans for strategic support and monitoring are underway already at each of the school sites, and we're going to present more information about what we're doing as a district and how we're addressing this at a later meeting. In general, though, all of this data and other things that we're looking at across the year have fed into the creation of the LCAP plan. And we have our goals here, our 3 goals in LCAP Goal 1, instruction and curriculum efficiency, which in the short term of how we say it is we're working on getting better at what we've been doing with implementing the new curriculum and how to do small group strategic support. So implementing that delivery and what are best practices in good first instruction, that's what we've been working on with Goal 1. In LCAP Goal 2, the systematic closure of opportunity gaps is where we're really looking at these subpopulations and coming up with specific interventions and supports, professional development needs in order to support that closure. And then LCAP Goal 3, where we're looking at how do we systematically build and promote the Lammersville Unified District's culture and program and create that legacy K through high school when we have so much newness going on and bringing so many people in because we have such large growth in the new high school that's only fifth year now. How do we create that really systematic culture and legacy of our district? So that is how we fed into that plan, and then we look forward at the future board meeting bringing you more specific information and details on how we will follow through. Any questions?
Thank you. Go ahead.
I can't even put into words how proud I am. If you look back just a few years, it was trying to build a plane while flying it. This board was being criticized, and the amount of work that's transpired over the last few years, these numbers don't even do it justice. I'm just, my hat's off, excellent work. Curriculum department, the district office, high school staff, all the administration from all the school sites, all the teachers, everyone's worked their tail off. And the proof is in the numbers. So just good work, congratulations, and please keep it up. Thank you.
So ditto what Trustee Belzerini said. I was strutting around like a peacock telling them what we were doing at our board meeting tonight, recognizing how many kids for perfect scores. I'm so proud of what we're doing, and all of our staff, from the superintendent, everybody, the teachers, the staff here at the district office, everybody's working so hard to maintain and to continue to improve. And we know we're doing really, really well. So I would like to see some of the future presentations about the scores, getting into the weeds, to concentrate on those weaker areas where we really need to make the most of our efforts to bring those kids as close to standard as we possibly can, in the specific actions and plans on how to have all of our kids receiving these awards at every board meeting.
Absolutely.
So, and congratulations to you for all of your hard work.
Again, just one more thing I failed to mention. I think the fact that parents want to come up and take pictures with the board after the fact, that speaks volumes. I'm really, really glad that as a district, as a board, that we're celebrating these successes, and I hope that all of our administrators are taking a minute to reflect on the good work that all of you are doing, and just know that I'm sure I can speak for the board when I say that we're all very, very proud.
Go ahead.
I also wanted to say thank you, and I'm incredibly proud as well. So ditto all of that to all of the staff and teachers, but I think I also speak for the board when I say we're very interested in the more challenged segments, and if there's something that we can do, we definitely want to hear about it, because we know that's a challenge. It's a challenge to learn another language. It's a challenge to all of these things, there's a reason for it. And if there's something we can do to assist in that area, we want to hear all about it. And we're looking forward to hearing what things we can do to improve that.
Absolutely.
And I would just like to say that I echo the comments of my fellow board members. I would also like to thank everybody that works in this district, because it takes everybody, the custodians, everybody to have a high achieving district like we have. It also takes parents and students working hard. And I just want to thank everybody, because I agree these are impressive numbers and they're growing, and I look forward to seeing them continue to grow. Thank you.
You know who we always leave out to thank is the clerical staff, who supports the people that are in the trenches doing the work, the principals so they can get out of the office to support the teachers, the folks here at the district office so they can get out to the sites, and all of that support from the top down. So again, just a huge thank you to everybody. I know how hard everyone here is working.
I guess the final point I could make to this report is, and it's a point that Heather emphasized, but I think it's time we start looking at it something differently. It is awesome to be able to say we're the highest performing school district in San Joaquin County. We have been for a long time. It's awesome to say that Bethany is the highest performing neighborhood K-8 school in San Joaquin County. But we, in some ways, have conquered that mountain, and we should never, ever let go with our intensity about that. But I think it's time, and we've been talking about this as a staff, it's time to get over the hill. We already are past the next district. And what we've been talking about is we're going to hunt down Pleasanton, and we're going to take a right, and we're going to head into San Ramon. And they're going to hear our footsteps. We've got some work to do. The work and that gap between where they're at and where we are is in that group of focus area students. Our focus this year is trying to close that gap. That gap will be, I think we can close it by at least a half, if not more. And so that's what we're going to do. So we might stop saying as much the highest performing school district in San Joaquin County. We will continue to say the highest performing neighborhood K-8 school is Bethany in San Joaquin County. But we're going to be hunting down Pleasanton, and then we're going to take a right and go after San Ramon.
I'd also like to add, working in the field of education, our percentages of students at or above standard in those more challenging areas, the English learners, special ed, and the low socioeconomic, our numbers are good. They're really good compared to other districts.
That's our report.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, district enrollment report.
Our district enrollment continues to grow at 5,355 students.
Thank you. And I'm guessing that the next one is the district maintenance and operations report, since I see Mr. LeGrand rushing forward.
It's my turn, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. The outfield fence at Mount House High School for the softball field is going very well. The mow strip was poured on Monday. They popped the forms yesterday, cut the posts. All that's left is the top rail and the fabric and the yellow cap. Should be wrapped up in a few days. So thank you all for your support. This is a project I want to do from the very time I got here. You may not know, but I'm been coaching softball for about 17, 18 years, so it's a little passion of mine. Anyways, last Thursday, all my staff attended HVAC training at Hanson. And then also last Thursday, we moved the curriculum department, who are great, by the way, great bunch of people. We moved them from this building out to Hanson. They're excited from going from the small office. They have a little room and a full-size classroom at Hanson on the first floor. Last week, we started moving the rest of the furniture into C building at Hanson. That's all done. Pretty much all that's left is some of the tables for lunch tables and the chair racks with the folding tables. We had 4, and we moved into the band room as well last week, so that's also complete. We had 4 storage containers out there full of furniture. They're all gone. The asphalt's been seal coated. That's all out of the way. So I've started having one-on-one meetings with all the K principals this month at Thor's direction. Suggestion. So I'm almost done with that. The only one I have left to do is Cuesta, and Ben and I have had a standing meeting for months, so I'm meeting them also. And I'm happy to report that our work order count's down 20% since August. So we're making progress there. And upcoming stuff for us tomorrow, I'm doing a site survey at Hanson for all the new HVAC equipment to put it on our PM schedule. So take care of that. And that's pretty much all I got. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say I was at Hanson Elementary yesterday, and everything looks really good. The band room, as you said, is up and running, and the classroom wing is getting there. And
It's a great school, and last word I have from the contractors, we're getting the multi on Halloween. So I asked if that was a trick or treat, and he said a treat. So I think he's going to stick to his word. So thank you.
You know, I was
Thank
not the biggest fan of the design of Hanson, and I went over there the other day. I stand corrected. It's beautiful.
moving on to action items. Item A, consider approval of 2018-2019 intra-district transfer requests. Staff report?
None.
Move to approve 2018-2019 intra-district transfer requests.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of contract with an outside agency for a licensed vocational nurse for the 2018-2019 school year, not to exceed $47,800. Staff report?
Yes, this is a replacement of a position where the person left, and based on the environment for LVNs, this is the best approach for us.
Thank you.
Move to approve contract with an outside agency for a licensed vocational nurse for the 2018-2019 school year, not to exceed $47,800.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of the Facilities Committee recommendation to allow A+ Academic Center to utilize a classroom at Hanson Elementary for a student robotics program during the 2018-2019 school year. Staff report?
And have Mr. Harrison come up and introduce some guests who have a short presentation.
Thank you.
Board President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nichols.
Welcome.
So Principal Pacheco and representatives from A+ Academic Center came to the Facilities Committee at our last meeting and requested a waiver of the policy that we have that does not permit agencies that are for-profit to rent our facilities, our classrooms, for the first year that a new school is open. So Ms. Pacheco and representatives from A+ Academic Center gave us a presentation at the Facilities Committee, and their recommendation was to bring their presentation and their request to the full board, and they're here tonight to give you that same presentation that they gave at the Facilities Committee. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Before I start, Trustee Balzerini, I can relate to your comment about earthquakes. Loma Prieta was actually my first year that I came to the US, and I threw a 400-volt switch in Raychem Corporation. I was sat there, and everything starts shaking, and I'm sat there looking around saying, did I do that? So I found out, yes, that was the big one that I faced for the first time. Trustees, Superintendent Nicholas, I appreciate you taking the time to hear about our program. My name is Rajan Barma, and that was my wife, Sadhana Barma. We are excited to bring this program. We've already started the program from a weekend program for children who are very excited about robotics. And we're not a run-of-the-mill Lego robotics where you'll put things together and the team will take it away at the end of the day. We actually provide whole kits that we're custom doing. Kids can actually build a radio and cars that will turn around and be able to, they'll be able to go through those experiences. May I borrow the clicker? Or? Okay. So our mission is to educate, excite, enrich, and grow a child's knowledge. We take a very practical approach, and we try and ignite the fire in a child's mind by exciting them and letting them be very creative to determine how things work and how they can turn around and go through a simple solution and experience how things are, how problems are solved and solutions are made, and they come up with different designs through the program. You want the next slide? So the key differentiators that we do, we actually take the kids into a basics of physics, which I feel is lacking in schools today, unfortunately. It's a generalized science program, so what we're trying to do is take them down to the core science and look at the actual components that are used to build controls, different types of robots and things like that. Through that, they also develop manual dexterity skills, which again is missing a lot because people are all on tablets, computers. They don't go to breadboards. We'll actually take them into a breadboard and put circuits together. The kits are all take home, so we'll go through certain things. We'll give them certain projects to do in their home, in their own time, so they're gathering more and more knowledge about how things are working. Together with this, they go through programming and learning programming skills. They experience working as an individual in their home and working as teams and putting projects together. So they're improving all of these skill sets, plus at the end of the course, we go through a presentation and a competition. Here you'll see one of our events. The first image shows a 6-year-old, first grader, who was presenting, and they were all building different designs of this car. And the idea was to not just build the car, but to program it to move in certain directions, which was, in this case, the shape of a chair. So they moved this around, and they all figured out from the first grader through to the 8th grader that was in this class. In fact, Ryan Alex, who won awards this evening, he was actually one of our first winners as well. So they're all experiencing and encouraging and seeing the excitement. The first 2 classes are a lot of theory. We understand that. But at the end of the second class, when we pulled out the kit for the car, that first grader turned around and his eyes lit up. This is what we're trying to bring to you. Okay, we love what we're doing, and we're customizing kits so we can turn around and give that encouragement and excitement to all of these kids. You mentioned about going to San Ramon, going to Pleasanton. We actually are doing local and state competitions. I have suggested to our team for our first local competition to come to Mountain House. Bring those people from Pleasanton, bring those people from Livermore, bring those people from San Ramon to here.
Kids all over from Bay Area, they will be participating in the program.
And get them to all compete. I'm going to go to every school in Mountain House, and I'm going to give the principals 3 tokens to say, bring 3 of your best kids. Let's figure out what these type of competitions are happening in the Bay Area. Let's bring them here. All of these ideas and things we're trying to encourage and imbibe in the kids. And with that, I'd like to say thank you to all of you.
Thank you. I just have a clarifying question.
Sure.
Your ask tonight is only that we waive the 1-year moratorium on renting, right? You're not requesting any fee waivers or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Further questions?
I have a question. Why the focus on Hanson? Why does this need to be at Hanson when we have other schools that could be used?
So our kids go to Hanson.
Our son is in Hanson. So
And-
Good evening. The Barmas are a Hanson family.
The program also aligns perfectly with our Genius Hour that we hold every Friday from 12:30 to 1:30, where students are encouraged to work on a project of their passion and build inquiry. So we're looking at Hanson just for other opportunities where we can do some enrichment, whether in school or after school, and then also provide opportunities for students to explore things that they're interested in. So having this program on Hanson's campus, I think, will just further that vision of ours that we have for students looking for enrichment and after-school activities. They've also offered to come into class on Genius Hour and help us with those things too.
So there are really no other after-school activities going on at Hanson right now?
We have an after-school program that offers childcare, and they do some different programming after school, but it's not anything that conflicts with the robotics program.
I mean, this is a great program, don't get me wrong. However, to me, it's just a process issue. And we've denied other organizations at school sites during their first year. And while this is important, their program was important as well. And for me, it comes down to process. If we start allowing organizations individually, I just think that we're creating inconsistencies, and I think we're going to run into problems. So for that reason, I hope that you'll use another one of our campuses. That's my hope.
I have to agree with Trustee Belzerini. My concern is when we start making exceptions to a rule that we have set, we're still building, and we're going to be building several more schools. And it'll come back to us, well, you made an exception for this, you made an exception for that. How can you say no to this one? But that's my hesitation. I love the program. I love the idea. And like Trustee Belzerini, I hope you can offer it at another site. I just don't know if we're ready to be making exceptions to our facilities rules.
I appreciate Trustee Belzerini and Lampel's comments, and if you'll recall, it's the same question that I asked at the Facilities Committee. I do have a slightly different take on it because we did allow ourselves the ability to override it in certain examples, and I have, the school principal supporting it, and she's the person that the district has tapped as the trustee of that facility, and it indicates that it melds well. So this, I understand the fear of a slippery slope, but I don't see this as that slippery slope, so I'm kind of on the other side of the fence. But that's me.
Further questions or comments on this item?
I do see both sides.
I do too. Yeah. I totally respect opposing viewpoint. Well, I could motion, but the most I would have is a second and one supporting vote, which is not enough to carry it. So,
Well, you can do that, and if we're deadlocked, we can table it and bring it back.
I will then move to approve the Facilities Committee recommendation to allow A+ Academic Center to utilize a classroom at Hanson Elementary for a student robotics program during the 2018-2019 school year.
And although it's not typical, I will second. And unless there's further, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
No.
So we are deadlocked at 2. I will request that we bring this back, table it and bring it back as a...
November 11th?
Yes.
So November 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So, what's that?
Did I say it's November 7th? Sorry.
Whatever the first meeting is in November.
I believe we need a motion to table the item. I'll move that we table this item until we have a...
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for...
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Item D, consider approval of contract with Delta Bluegrass for repairs to the Mountain House High School baseball field funded from the facilities use fees collected, $55,434. Staff report?
Yeah, so there's a accumulation of fees that have been collected over the years, and we've started to dole those out for particular projects. This was a project brought forward to the Facilities Use Committee. There's been some struggles with areas with the baseball field, much of it tied to a varmint that we were unaware of and couldn't understand why the grass was turning white, which is an odd color, and cracks were emerging. We had a presentation from a parent and a student athlete last year kind of speaking to it. A lot of research has gone into it, Mr. Harrison and Jimmy and staff, and this was brought to the Facilities Committee, and this is the recommendation to use collected fees to resolve some of these issues that were created.
Comment? Sure. I'd like to commend the board by having a facilities use committee, by collecting fees, by putting them in a different account. This is what we're doing it for. So I'm glad to see that monies that were collected are going right back into the facilities that we use. So good job. Thank you.
I'll move for approval of the contract with Delta Bluegrass for repairs to the Mountain House High School baseball field, funded from facilities use fees collected, $55,434.
Second.
Further questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. I should have been saying that all night, but I forgot. Item F, consider approval of teacher coaching contract with Better Lessons not to exceed $65,000.
Mr.
Oh,
President.
I missed E, didn't I? All right, we'll go back then. Consider approval of a contract with Brightview for landscaping, ground services, and maintenance throughout the district for the 2018-2019 school year. Staff report?
So this is a contract that we're re-upping and expanding. I'll have Mr. Harrison speak to the general pieces to it, but in general, we are adding Hanson, and we've asked them to pick up additional work tied to general sprinkler repair and plant replacement.
You nailed it. Thank you.
Hard on that.
The only thing that Dr. Nicholas did not include is I wanted to also give you the differential in cost. The increased cost, which we are also getting more time another person at the school sites. The additional cost with excluding the addition of Hanson and the $500 per school site is $37,112. Our contract cost hasn't changed for 4 years. With the renewal of the contract, we are paying a higher rate for their employees.
I agree with this. The only question I had was, I saw that this expires at the end of the year, so we'll be entering in a new contract.
I think there are some other people out there where we could get some competitive pricing and see what we can do.
Read my mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
So basically, what we're being asked to do is extend an existing contract for the rest of the year,
Yes,
and
sir.
then it will be open.
Adding Hanson, adding a more $500 per school site for incidental breakage and plant replacement.
Move to approve contract with Brightview for landscaping / ground services and maintenance throughout the district for the 2018-2019 school year.
I'll second.
Further questions or comments by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Now I can move on to item F, consider approval of teacher coaching contract with Better Lessons not to exceed $65,000. Staff report?
So when you add 30 new teachers a year, one of the things that we were discussing is how do you help the general stuff so that your coordinator coaches can concentrate on specific stuff. So it came to my attention through a colleague of a good program that was providing general coaching services to identified teachers who had specific needs that fall into that general category. So we wanted to take a look at this program for a year and see if that coaching can cover some of our general needs so we can target, in particular with the area that we talked about earlier, the focus area, subcategory students, and take our coaches and and focus them on excellent first-time instruction and some of the strategic support. So that is our recommendation.
I have a question. Have we done the research or know what the financial difference would be between using this or hiring additional staff?
This would be slightly less expensive when you add benefits and such, but I can strongly predict that we will be coming forward with requests for additional staff going into next school year to be coordinators. We may even go forward as soon as this year for some targeted secondary areas. But this came across my plate, and I thought, if every time we open up the calendar for the coaches to be available and it gets taken up, how can we address the general stuff and help the people who need general help so they can concentrate their calendar on specific areas that we've been doing professional development in? And we wanted to take a look at it for this year and see if this was something worthy to assist us, because it's slightly less expensive, in the time where we're trying to figure out where we want to target coordinators and support for next year, and possibly middle of this year.
So, may I? Yes. I'm going to correct you, Superintendent Nicholas. It's not slightly less expensive because we wouldn't be hiring a brand-new teacher to do something like this. So an experienced teacher costs $100,000, not $65,000.
One-third more. I stand corrected, madam.
We generally go with about $75,000 for a new teacher, and this is $65,000. I'm an advocate for any assistance that we can give to teachers. I do have one concern, though. When it was brought to the board to approve a leave for one of our coaches, we were told that we didn't need to backfill that position. Now I'm surprised to hear that we need even more. So I just needed to say that. I'm not against this at all.
Further questions or comments?
Move to approve teacher coaching contract with better lessons not to exceed $65,000.
Second.
Further questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Item G, consider approval of agreement with Mountain House Community Services District for the use of Mountain House High School Aquatic Center for the 2019 Summer Swim Program. Staff report?
Yes, so there was a presentation to this board. I believe it was the last board meeting, but I might be wrong by one board meeting. And I know it was also presented to the facilities use. Mr. Harrison can speak to any specific questions to the request. But the request from the CSD team was that we approve this as soon as possible, if that's the board's decision, so that they can do the organizational work, and in particular tied to the lifeguards.
And I believe there's also a representative from the CSD who could also answer specific questions that we might have.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
In the contract, it talks about custodial. It says that LUSD shall make its trash receptacles available for the pool facilities. If there's significant increase to trash volume, LUSD shall notify Mountain House's designated employee so that Mountain House may provide custodial services necessary to keep pool facilities in neat, orderly, and sanitary conditions. Am I understanding that the CSD is providing their own custodial? As then in the next section, when it talks about toilet facilities, it says LUSD shall make restroom facilities available during public access hours. LUSD shall maintain these restroom facilities in sanitary conditions.
Well, my interpretation of that verbiage is that the staff that is at the pool is going to rally up trash and make it so it's kept, so that stuff's not laying around, bottles aren't laying around, things that they're not allowed to have are not brought into the pool area as well.
So our staff will still be cleaning the restroom facilities?
Our staff would still empty the garbage when necessary and would still clean the restroom at the end of the day.
Okay. And then my second question is about the lifeguards. It talks about lifeguards in the contract, but it doesn't address training, certifications, what is the standard?
I don't, Sarah's here, she can probably talk to what their standard is for training their lifeguards. I couldn't speak to what their training is.
Good evening, Mr. President and trustees.
Evening.
We do require certain certifications of lifeguards, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you the exact title, but if they don't pass a drug test and and be able to prove their certification, either Red Cross or there are other agencies that certify, but they do have to show proof of that certification.
Okay, can we have that added to the language into the contract?
Yeah, I thought it was in last year's.
This contract is the same as last year. The only changes are the rates for the custodian, the use of that small office next to the pool, and I think that's.
So if I understand you, Trustee Balzerino, what you're saying is just simply that the district be provided with a copy of that certification, since we're partly liable for the work of those lifeguards. Is that correct?
Well, I would like to actually see it articulated in the contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
What the certification is, or what
Or
agency, yeah, provides.
what acceptable certifications are, you know, whether it's Red Cross and others that should be named, I would think, or if it has to be Red Cross certification, or what certification is acceptable.
And they have to have copies of that at the pool itself. So when the health department comes to check, they have to have them right there to show them to them.
My concern is I see the section, the hold harmless section, but this is California. If something goes down, we're going to get sued. So I want to make sure there's no, that we're trying, that we avoid negligence on all fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sarah, could you help me and I didn't compare this to last year's, I should have brought up last year's, and I didn't. Which areas in here have a different rate than last year? Because we're being asked to provide more facilities. So
The rates that are,
it's logical that something else would go up.
the rates that went up are the cost of custodial service after July 1, and the MHCSD's share of for chemicals. Those are the additional costs.
Okay, but we don't know exactly how much they went up by. Why only after July 1st?
Because that's when a COLA kicks in for the classified employees.
So I can speak to the 1%.
Yeah.
We already have a contract with CSCA. So at July 1, that 1% will kick in for the pay rate. That's why the change. We have a multi-year contract with CSCA.
So the increase is only because we have given our employees a COLA?
That is correct.
Okay.
An additional 1%.
Okay. So
And then the other additional fee is the chemicals, which was discussed at the Facilities Committee. The Facilities Committee asked that a portion of the extra cost of chemicals while they use the pool is paid for by the CSD. And what we did is we did an analysis of what little pool time we have, the excess chemicals used during the pool program this last summer, and we took that number and did a daily rate and gave them the daily rate, and it's $84 a day.
Okay. So where in here would I see, so if we're allowing the CSD pool folks to use more of our facilities, the office and the other things that they've asked for, which I don't object to, shouldn't we be asking for a higher rate for the use of those facilities since it's more than last year?
Well,
Am I making sense?
Yes, I think I understand your question. From the facility committee's viewpoint, we were waiving the fees for the facility, so additional fees would most likely be waived. The office that they're requesting to use does not have a line item in the facilities, a fee structure in the facilities policy, because it's part of the pool, basically. So our thought was, if it doesn't cause a hardship with the high school and it helps them run a better program, that we let them use it.
I'm struggling with the differences in the cost. You know, I'm an advocate of the pool program. I run the pool at work. that this is costing Lammersville Unified School District $22,122. I'm doing this right? Us, right? This one? This is our cost?
Yes.
And that it's costing the CSD $6,870.
I understand
Struggling with it. Again,
your-
just like last year.
your concern. I would only point out that the 22,000 aren't, it's loss of potential revenue, but it's not really a cost. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, you
No,
could,
I would kind of disagree, because if we were not using the pool, you would be using less chemicals.
That's why we
Yeah.
have the chemical fee. We compared the month that they used the pool last summer with the other months during the summer when the high school wasn't using it, and that's the,
So it would cost us $22,122 to maintain the facility if the CSD wasn't using it.
no.
that 22,000 is simply the sum of the waived rental fees, is that
That is
correct?
correct. The $50 per hour fee that we require, and the custodial fees that were waived last year in the previous summer swim contract.
So my explanation that it's simply the loss of potential revenues if we found someone else to rent it at full price.
Full market value, yes.
Thank you.
I just want to mention, thank you to the committee, and I realize we're rehashing stuff that the committee's probably already discussed, but
No problem.
I appreciate going through the process, and because I'm a stickler to process, I have a question about if another organization wanted to use the pool, would we allow them to use that room free of charge, or would we charge them to use that? Has that been discussed at all? The room that the CSD is asking to use?
We did not discuss that specific thing, but we did discuss the fact that if someone were renting the pool and had a use for the room, assuming it didn't conflict with any high school use, that the room is technically part of the pool.
And that's, so the two, as I recall, if I may, the discussion in the facilities committee was twofold. Number one, we wanted to make sure that the high school athletic staff and general staff did not feel like, oh, no, we need that room and we need it to be segregated during the summer months. We wanted to make sure it wasn't going to cause a problem for our high school or their athletics program. And number two, we said, well, there's not really a fee for that. It's a small room and it's got a window, and so it's kind of facilitates the use of the pool, so it kind of goes hand in hand. So we said, okay, to us it makes sense to go ahead and make it part and parcel with renting of the pool.
I think it would be similar to renting the gym and having the ticket booth go along with the gym. Everybody that rents the gym doesn't use the ticket booth, but it's available.
Well, no, and I just procedurally had that question. I mean, and that's fine. If that's the decision that we'll do, is if an organization uses the pool, they also get that. Just like how if you use a school, you get the parking lot. So same concept.
If I may clarify, though, the answer from the high school, I cannot say whether we have that answer. If somebody wanted to rent it on a Saturday during school year, when the coaches may have, I didn't ask that particular question. I asked about the summertime. Is that going to cause a hardship in the summertime? So I don't know that I know that answer.
Right, because during the school year, they may have stuff stored in there, but in the summer, they're not really using it. Yeah, and I also think it makes a lot of sense for them to be able to use the booth where people can pay. I think they lost revenue last year, having to have the online, people had to buy a chunk. And this way, because we get a lot at work of people just pay the fee to go in cash, and they weren't able to do that last year. So I think it will increase the use of the pool. I think it's a great idea.
It also affords them the security of having a room where they can have
Oh, yeah, they can't do that
cash,
outside.
right.
Yeah.
And as far as rehashing anything that we went over in the facilities committee, I have no problem with that. That's why I asked the previous people to come here and present to the whole board, because I wanted everyone to have a chance to ask questions, and the same thing with this. Further questions or comments?
Just to go to those cash sales.
Yes.
To avoid break-ins, I think we need something in the contract to say the cash box will be taken out every day, and the public knows the cash box is taken out every day, so it doesn't get broken into.
Good point.
3 times last summer.
Move to approve agreement with Mountain House Community Services District for the use of the Mountain House High School Aquatic Center for their 2019 summer swim program as amended per discussion.
And just for the record, that's the cash box taken out line and something that clearly defines the certification. Okay.
Yes.
I'll second.
I'm
Oh.
not done.
Sorry.
Well, now that a motion's been made, as presented, I can't support it because I don't support the waiving of the custodial fees. I feel strongly that our staff work here, they're a union, they should be compensated. That compensation has to come from somewhere. I think that the CSD should pay the fees. I also, we've really extended ourselves, and it would be nice to see a little more appreciation for that. That might be a conversation for another day, but I'm not for waiving the fees.
I would just like to clarify the custodial, and if I would like Associate Superintendent Harrison to jump in if I'm misspeaking, but I believe it was the consensus of staff that the fees paid last year covered our out-of-pocket on the custodial. Is that correct?
Yes. The fee structure was 2 hours in front and 2 hours behind. And what we did is we cut it 1 hour each side at the request of the CSD. So we pay a custodian overtime an hour in front and an hour behind of their schedule. And that is overtime hour pay, which is reflected in the board document.
So while we are waiving what are the customary custodial fees, we're not coming out of pocket to cover the custodial for the pool contract that we're looking at.
We are absorbing any excess work through the summer work at the high school, the custodial work at the high school, the general hours work, if need be.
But maybe this is a question for Mr. LeGrand. I understood him at the facilities committee meeting to say that what the CSD was paying, he felt was covering our actual custodial work.
If I may,
Certainly.
President Pombo, the specific question that was asked by President Pombo in the Facilities Committee of Mr. LeGrand was, does the amount that we receive cover the custodial fees to, our support of the pool program? And the answer was yes. So our understanding as a Facilities Committee was that we weren't making any money on it, but we weren't losing any money on the custodial services, that the 1 hour in front and behind was adequate to cover the actual effort involved in the pool program.
The cleanup, the opening, the cleanup of the restroom, and the disposal of the trash, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I make that clarification because it was my intent to request additional fees from the CSD for custodial if what we were doing was not covering our outlay. Further questions or comments? All right. Having a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did we get all the ayes?
Whoops.
Motion carries with 1 absent. As soon as I can find where to vote, I will do that. Oh, I've already voted.
No, I think Noel did it for us. 'Cause I've
All
been
right.
forgetting to do
And
that.
Mr. President, may I say, I want to thank district staff for their patience in my getting used to this, because I only think I voted half the time.
I think, same here.
I'm going to do better, Noel.
Information and discussion items. November special board meeting date. Staff report?
So in the process to annex the Shea properties D2 and D4, it's requested by the people, our bond council, that we will need to hold a resolution vote on a particular set of paperwork before the 11th of I keep doing this. The 28th of the 11th month, which is November. And so, because of a commitment to the California School Boards Association, we won't be able to do it that night. So I'm requesting that we get a quorum of at least 3 of our board members willing to come in for a very brief period of time for one resolution vote tied to that Shea annexation resolution.
What's the proposed day?
The Monday, November 26th, or Tuesday, November 27th, we would start the meeting at 6 o'clock-ish, or however it worked with people's schedules.
I can do the 27th.
I can do the 27th.
I can do either one, so 27.
I can do neither.
And then
Well,
we'll
three-
I work on the 26th, and the 27th, I've got the CSBA Board Directors.
Right,
Because
well,
it's right before the conference.
three is a quorum, so
So it sounds like Tuesday, November 27th at 6 o'clock.
Can we make it 6:15?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you.
and just to clarify, will the developer be paying overtime to the board for this?
Mr. President, before we move on to anything else, I
Yes.
realized a huge mistake I made. I had 2 different agendas on my computer, and when I welcomed our staff, I was actually welcoming them for the second time, because that was last month's list. So, I would like to go back and recognize our new hires, if you don't mind.
Certainly, proceed.
Thank you. So we have Kayla Hone, an instructional aide, and Janae Taylor, a food service worker. So welcome to both of them, and my deepest apologies.
Welcome.
Thought I was losing. I'm like, I read the agenda. I know there was only a couple.
And no one corrected me.
Thought it was me.
I was too busy trying to figure out what I was doing here.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Calendar, Thursday, November 1st is a professional development day. There is no school for students. Thursday, November 1st is the SJCOE Annual Board Dinner at Brookside Country Club in Stockton. And Wednesday, November 7th is the next regularly scheduled governing board meeting. In just a moment, we will be adjourning to closed session where we will discuss public employee discipline, dismissal, release, complaint, pupil personnel, student expulsion, and conference with real property negotiators.
Move to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned to closed session. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance this evening, and have a good rest of your evening. Or something after being there all day. We are resuming open session at 10:43-ish. Closed session, item B, pupil personnel, education code 48918, student expulsion 1819-01. The board took action to approve staff recommendation for student expulsion 18-19-01 by the following vote: 4 ayes, no nays, 1 absent.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned.